All right, you want to try and knock this out?
Yeah, let's hurry up and do this shit. Fuck. God damn it. Alright, let's do it.
Okay. You know, Jake.
Yes, Matt?
When I was a wee lad, I used to have to get up at the ass crack of dawn for ice time at the local rink. And I hated it. I hated it with a passion. But you know what I did over the weekend?
What did you do?
I got up at the same ass crack of dawn to go play pond hockey.
You played pond hockey this weekend?
I played some pond hockey with some friends in upstate New York this weekend. And I had never been so happy to wake up at the ass crack of dawn.
Man, I remember going back when I was playing. We used to do 5 a.m. practices, which meant that we had to wake up at I had to wake up at 4. And but looking back at it now, it was so much fun because we always used to have the dads would play the kids in those kind of scrimmages. It'd just be goof around practices because nobody wanted to be there at 5 a.m. And me and my dad still joke about it now. For instance, I went fishing over Christmas break. I went fly fishing with my dad, and we woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning to drive down there. And my dad busted my door at 5 in the morning saying, "Jacob, it's time for hockey practice." So it's definitely, it's one of those fond memories that it sucks when you're doing it, but it's a blast looking back on it. But this is the first time playing pond hockey, correct?
Yeah.
And what'd you think about it?
Oh my God, this was so cool! I was skating with my friends on a frozen lake! It was so cool, man! Holy cow, I was on a frozen lake and we were playing hockey! That's what I thought about it. We got up because we needed to shovel off our playing surface. The lake was snowed over as well as completely frozen. And
well, I hope it's completely frozen.
Yeah. We were hoping to. But it was literally 0 degrees. So we were fairly certain. Yeah. And it had been like that for 2 weeks.
Oh, good.
So it was 0 degrees without the winds, and there was 3 inches of snow to shovel out. And we probably spent an hour and a half or 2 hours shoveling, which was great because it really got our bodies warmed up as the sun rose. So by the time it got to be 9 or 10, I think, judging by the placement of the sun, it might have been about 9:15. We broke out the sticks. We broke out the pucks. They all had Islanders logos on it, but I ignored it.
You dealt with it.
I dealt with it. And we broke out the net, which was really just a garbage can. And we that's the official pond hockey net, is a garbage can or bucket. Yeah, exactly. We later had to use a bucket because we broke the garbage can.
Oh no! Somebody do a Fulton Reed and just take a slap shot right through the back of it?
No, I fell on it by mistake. I decided I was going to crash the net.
I think you literally crashed the net.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had never done it literally before, so good times. My reward was plastic up my ass. So we spent that time, we only had patience to scrape out a 50 by 50 area, which was way too small for the 3 of us, but we made it work. And I gotta tell you, it was absolutely wonderful and therapeutic and fun, and I felt like a little kid again, and I think I think that the only thing I dislike about the experience is that I hadn't done it sooner.
Okay. That makes sense.
The cold was of no concern when you're moving around and you're bundled up right. It didn't matter that it was like minus 15 with the wind. It was an absolute pure joy. And I didn't want to come off. And we played on and off throughout the entire day on Saturday. So I went from dealing with the glare to dealing with the lack of light. And we even tried to experiment with a glow puck that we picked up from Modell's last minute. Wow. It was so much fun. Tell me more about your experience while I try to recuperate from all this set and onset joy.
Eagle River, Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how far that is from Milwaukee. I just know it's in Wisconsin. They host annually the Pond Hockey Championships.
I thought that was in Minnesota.
No, it's in Wisconsin.
Oh!
And I'm on the website right now, and I'm trying to find how big their ice surface is, but I can't think of it. But it doesn't say.
I once saw an overhead shot, a bird's eye shot of all the playing surfaces, and the pilot or photographer must have been half a mile in the air just to get everything in on one shot. I think it was like 20 rinks side by side. I think it took up like 10 acres.
Yeah, it's huge.
Oh, we gotta find out.
And so I'm looking online, and I'm looking at all the rules and stuff but what's kind of cool is everybody knows that I played, hockey growing up my whole life. Mm-hmm. But I have a younger brother who played he played from learn to play to mites. The first year's mites, took a couple years off, went back and played squirts for 1 year, and then he was done. Like, he played it sporadically, and he wishes he would have played more. But myself, my dad, and my brother all have an agreement that once we're all out of college, so once he graduates college, we're going to get a team together of all of the families that we had strong ties with playing hockey. So like us three, my 2 neighbors across the street, and then a couple of guys that we always used to play with. And we are gonna go do that. We're gonna go up to Eagle River and do the championships. And I think it's one of the coolest things you can do, and I definitely think that it's one of those things where if you're a hockey fan, you either have to go and see it or try to play in it as best possible as you can.
Deal. I'm there, man.
It's one of those once in a lifetime things where it doesn't matter how good or bad of a team you have. It's all about being out there on the pond with 4 to 7 of your best friends and playing pond hockey against in a giant ass tournament.
Oh my God. And when does this take place?
Well, I'll look at the entry details. The rule is you have to be 21 by the time this starts. Okay. Oh shit. Well, entry team is 500 per team, and rosters are due January 24th, 2014. Okay. And it's February 7th. So it's like next Friday is when it starts at 8 a.m.
I wish I was there. This sounds like the greatest tournament ever.
Yeah. And it's sponsored by USA Hockey.
That makes it even better.
They say teams can expect 1 or 2 games Friday and 1 or 2 on Saturday, but each team is guaranteed 3 games during round robin play.
Deal.
But no schedule requests will be accepted.
Deal.
An entry to the tournament is first come, first served. It fills up quickly, so it's highly suggested you make necessary arrangements to register when registration opens up.
And when does registration open up?
It said Monday, July 29th at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time.
Well, that means we have some time to put some money away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but, alright, so, I'll talk a little bit about my pond hockey experience.
Yes, please.
I have some interesting aspects, though. When I was probably about 8 or 9, we had a 6 a.m. hockey game in Cahokia, Illinois, which is about an hour away from my house.
Mm-hmm.
Which means I had to wake up at 4:30 in the morning.
Oh.
In order to get over there. And the rink that we played in is, like, legitimately is a barn. Like when people say, oh, it's like the old barn, like in St. Louis, there's the thing called the old barn, which is where the Blues used to play. No, this was a legitimate barn. And they decided to take off both ends of the barn. So that way it's literally just like 2 parallel walls and then a roof. And that was like the structure of the rink. So it was like half indoors, half outdoors. And I remember it was cold as balls. And the team we were playing was a team from 15 minutes away back home. We played the Merrimack Sharks. And I remember thinking, why in the hell are we playing out here in this cold ass rain and we could play 15 minutes away from our house? So that was interesting. And then, but my first legitimate pond hockey experience was my junior year of high school. I had a friend of mine who was at a service project and his school got canceled, but we still had school. In high school, we still had school. So he went out and he did the same thing. He shoveled probably about the same size, about 50 by 50, because I remember it was about 3, 4, 5 strides and then you were pretty much at the end of the rink.
Yeah.
And then there was like snow boards essentially that if the puck ever got it stuck in there, everybody just kind of pauses and then somebody digs their stick out, and goes gets it. But so I drove over there right after school and he already had the rink open. I think he was out there with a couple of his friends already. And I just remember I went out there and then I threw on my hoodie and then put on my jersey, my high school jersey right out on top of it. And I just remember playing for 2 hours until it got dark or until people's parents started calling them, telling them that they had to come home. It was like we were kids again. People were answering their phones. Moms telling them, hey, you need to come home. It's starting to get dark soon. And we're like, fine, I guess we can leave. But I just remember I know this is super cliche and everybody says this with the Winter Classics. Like, it really gets back to your roots and remembers why you play the game. But I can't think of a time when I was more happy than playing in hockey, than playing on that rink with guys I went to high school with and now guys who I go to college with, and just playing on that rink. And it was just so much fun. I can't really put into words what it's like being out there on a rink and just looking up and just being outside and playing hockey. I really can't describe it. It's just one of those few things in the world that's truly perfect.
I told my friend Brooke about what I was doing on Sunday, and she simply responds with, "Isn't it wonderful?" And it absolutely is. My favorite part was simply the sensation of the blade carving the ice, whether I was taking a stride, or I was turning, or crossover, or stopping. But also the sounds that it made.
Yeah.
From the wind, when it whips up, it feels kind of cool. Like, even though, like, it was literally -15, when the wind picked up, I was really grateful because I needed to cool off. It was such a wonderful experience. I'm only sorry that it took me this long to experience it, and I really want to go to that pond hockey tournament in Wisconsin, and I really want to play more pond hockey in general.
So this is something interesting that we have here in Milwaukee. There is a rink called Red Arrow Park, and it's in downtown Milwaukee. And it's literally from the months of December to, I think, early to mid-March. They put an ice rink in the middle of downtown. They just stick it right in the middle of downtown. And it's open to the public from 8 to 8. And then, at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, all the college kids come down and will play quote unquote pond hockey in the middle of downtown Milwaukee at 11 o'clock midnight on any night of the week. Like me, I've done it on a Sunday night, a Wednesday night, and a Thursday night before, and it's different each night. Cause I know, like, I'll go down there by myself at 11 o'clock, and I left my skates in my friend's car. And so I call him up, I was asking him, hey, can I get my skates from you tonight? I'm gonna go play some pond hockey. And he goes, oh yeah, sure, no problem. Go pick them up. And I'm wearing like a jersey and my stick and my gloves and everything. He goes, where are you going? I go, I'm going to play pond hockey at 11 o'clock at night. And so I walked down there, and it's just me. And so I took a trash can and I put it on the side, and I was out there for probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours, just out there with headphones in and just ice skating and stick handling, all that stuff, and like just messing around. And towards the last half going. And it was just so cool being down there, having it snow while I'm out on the middle of downtown. And I just remember looking up and seeing like the snow coming down. I felt like I was at a Winter Classic. I felt like, I mean, granted this was last year, so it was before the one at the Big House, but it felt like at the Big House. Or I felt like it was in Buffalo when Buffalo and Pittsburgh.
The snow globe game.
Yeah, I just remember it was just so much fun. It was so cool. Is there any, I guess, rink like that near you where you can go and skate and like whenever you want to and just kind of hop the boards and go out there and play around?
Well, I'm surrounded by the normal rinks in general.
Okay.
They're not free, although I guess my home, if I go when a couple of guys I grew up with work, I suppose I could go to the puck shoots for, at the very least, a reduced cost, if not free. But, no, there really aren't any, I live on an island, and so inland bodies of water are few and far between, and, it also doesn't usually get cold enough for long enough here. And that was really the key to being able to do this, is that this particular winter has been really cold. And so, my buddy has a place upstate, and he's been doing this, I guess, his whole life. And it gets a lot colder upstate, number one. And number two, I could have done this last year, but I was working. I was assistant coaching two hockey teams in Central Park last year, and I also had a girlfriend that I saw mostly on the weekends, and just like it wasn't something that I can do. Hopefully, I can make it up to his place more often this winter, but it just doesn't get cold enough, and when it does, it isn't necessarily that body of water that freezes in the first place. So, unfortunately, no. It's unfortunate, but, you know, Jake, you know what I really learned from this whole experience?
What?
I think I get the Stadium Series and Winter Classic now.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think I get it now. I think I get the child that it brings out in you, the glee that it brings out of you, the extra boost of determination that it brings out of you, the spectacle that, and I mean that in a positive way, that it can be, that it often has been. And the LA game notwithstanding, that's its own beast because it's LA.
Right.
But the games at Yankee Stadium, of which I'm going to tomorrow, going to see the Islanders Yankees.
Oh, you lucky son of a bitch, you.
Yeah, I am. And I was lucky that there were enough tickets left over that they fell to a normal price. I got it for $76.
That's a normal price?
For a spectacle?
Okay, fair enough. For a game like that, yeah, I would assume that's a normal price. Okay.
I would have gone as high as 100. Again, it's a spectacle. Yeah. This is a special event.
I get that, because I was willing to drop $300 for a Stanley Cup final ticket if the Blues ever made it.
Yeah, and I would be too for the Rangers. It's just, you know, there are certain plateaus that a game has to hit in order to go beyond what you're normally comfortable with. And I'm normally comfortable with spending $50 to go to MSG. Not to say that I do, I usually don't. It costs me $17 just to get into Penn Station, which is what MSG sits on top of. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah, $76 to sit just inside the right field foul pole in section 205 at Yankee Stadium for this. Yeah, that's a really good deal.
Yeah, it is. So cool. Now, I think there's only one person who that Stadium Series game did not bring the child out of him, and that'd have to be Marty Brodeur.
Yeah, it's really pretty terrible how that game went. I'm a Rangers fan, so whatever, but especially at a spectacle of a game, you want it to be a great game. Henrik Lundqvist versus Marty Brodeur, it's probably going to be a great game. And I've seen the game in which there were the most shots in regulation without any going in. It was up around 40 apiece. It was at MSG a few years ago, Marty versus Hank. They played to a 1-0, I believe, in a shootout game. And there were like 80 shots in regulation.
Yeah.
All right, so I've seen that game. I also feel bad for Marty, and then I'll let you make your point. I also feel bad for Marty since his photographer is a father. Wasn't around to snap photos of this seminal event.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing I really feel bad, not the ice conditions.
I watched a little bit of the game, but I didn't watch too much of it because I was covering Marquette's hockey team at the same time. Mm-hmm. Hearing a 7-3 game in which the Rangers rattle off 6 straight.
Yeah.
It just sucks. I mean, I've got a guy that I live with is a big Devils fan. And so.
Must have been bummed.
He was not happy with the game at all. Although I did take a little solace at it that they got their butt whooped 7-3 after the Rangers decided to kill the Blues 7-1.
The Blues beat the Rangers 2 or 3-1 a couple nights later.
Yeah, exactly. So that was when we were on the Blues were on their New York road trip, and they were just they hit all 3, and then they kind of came home. It was a little nice knowing that the Rangers or the Devils got to feel what it's like to have 7 goals scored on them. But I don't know. I'm right with you. I think that it would have been a lot more fun of a game to watch if it would have been a 4-3 win more so than a 7-3 win, and a little bit more of a goaltender duel than it was seeing who could let in the most goals.
And out of the 10 goals that were scored, I would argue only 2 or 3 of them were real hockey goals. The others.
Yeah, Dominic Moore's was iffy. That's the only one I saw.
Mark Stahl scored an iffy one. There were just a bunch of weird plays that occurred, and it was partially related to the elements. But I suspect that it was really related to the sense of depth for the goaltenders and the general sight lines they were trying to adjust to.
Yeah. I didn't really understand the sun glare delay. Was it because the sun was right in the goaltender's eyes, or was bouncing off the ice weird, or what?
Well, I didn't see it live either. I had some family business to attend to over the weekend. Well, on Sunday specifically. So when I have watched the game, I've only watched the first 2 periods on download. In any event, what I think happens with the sun glare, which I don't understand how they weren't prepared for, because the sun coming over the left field wall is a famous thing that happens in Yankee Stadium. But what I think happened was that you know how you can be positioned in front of the sun, and it doesn't matter how you reposition yourself, you always have to squint way too hard, where it's just easier to just close your eyes.
Oh, yeah.
And move forward. There are no dark enough sunglasses.
Yep. Okay.
Well, the players also aren't allowed to wear tinted visors. To my knowledge, they're not allowed to wear any sort of eye protection other than the face shield.
Yeah, or they can wear eye black, but that's it.
Right, and none of them wear shaded contact lenses, it appears. And so what I think...
didn't know shaded contact lenses existed.
Yeah, they do.
That's fucking weird.
Yeah, a little bit, but sounds also really convenient. if you can manage to touch your eye, that is.
Oh yeah, I wear contacts, so I've been wearing contacts.
Teach me your ways of touching your eye. I need contacts. I want contacts.
So this was I've had allergy. So little interesting tidbit about myself is that I am allergic to pollen, newly cut grass, and every species of tree. So any tree you see out in the United States, I'm allergic to it.
Lucky you.
Yeah, so it's seasonal allergies, and so the worst of my seasonal allergies is that I get really itchy eyes, to the point where if I rub them, my eyes will get really red and I can't stop rubbing 30 minutes straight. So growing up, I always would put in eye drops. My mom would help me would put in eye drops for me, and so I essentially taught myself how to keep my eyes open so that way water or these special eye drops could get in my eyes. So by the time 6th grade rolls around and I find out I need glasses, it's no big deal for me to touch my eye because I've had stuff in my eyes since I was 4. It's just super easy for me to wear contacts now because it's nothing to me.
In any event, what I think happens with the sun glare was that because the players aren't allowed to shade their eyes in a useful way, the only thing that they could do so that they can maintain some semblance of safety on the ice was simply wait for the sun's position to change. And it's pretty terrible that they weren't able to tell that might be an issue ahead of time, both because this noteworthy detail about Yankee Stadium, as well as, being able to predict the position and the intensity of the sun in every climate condition. So I feel bad for the fans who were there unnecessarily for an hour, like my friend Ralph, who I feel doubly bad for because he's a Devils fan. But in any event, tomorrow's game won't have that issue because it's at night.
Right. It'll be just like the Kings Ducks game.
As well as the Caps Pens game.
Right. Oh, that's going to be at night too?
No, that was at night. When the Caps and Pens a few seasons ago were the Winter Classic at Heinz Field.
I was thinking Hawks Pen for some reason. I'm sorry.
That's alright. I do have a question for you though, my friend. Did you happen to see any of the LA game?
I watched the 3rd period because I was also coming back from covering a Marquette hockey game that night.
What were your impressions of the Stadium Series game in LA?
So I only watched the 3rd period, but I was surprised by how well the ice was holding up. And it looked like it went really well. And so that was very cool. I mean, I was very, very skeptical of it, but after watching it, I think the NHL actually did a really good job. And I'm wondering if whoever put that rink together had channeled their inner Elsa from Frozen and managed to make it all ice and make sure that it stuck.
Did you have any issues with the cognitive dissonance of A, outdoor hockey in LA, B, the beach ball volleyball area that was 30 yards away, or any of the other?
When I was watching it, I didn't really see that much of it. And that was the thing. When you were watching it, if you didn't know it was at Dodger Stadium, then you really that it was in LA, because besides the 2 teams that were playing. I mean, it looked like just a standard outdoor hockey game. And so there really wasn't that cognitive dissonance. I think I didn't pay that much attention to the game because I was just hanging out with a few of my friends. So I was more concerned with talking with them more so than actually watching the game.
Wait, is that normal etiquette, when you have friends?
I think so. I'm not entirely sure, but I was assuming that I was supposed to talk to them and not just completely ignore them and watch the game. But I'm not really sure what to do in that situation.
Well, it sounds like a radical strategy from what I usually use, which is, you want to come over and watch the game? All right.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're more concerned about actually watching the game than talking. Or you talk during commercials.
Yeah, exactly. We talked during commercials, and then at some point they wanted to actually talk during the game, and I have to choose between asking them to speak louder or lowering the TV volume.
Yeah, no, I gotta give a shout out to Ryan Whitman, because he came up with the entourage rule at our house, which is whenever a TV show is on, you are not allowed to talk while the show is on. You can talk during commercials, but as soon as it comes back and it's back to the show, silence.
I would get along very, very well in that house.
Yeah, so we call it the entourage rule, because it started with Entourage.
All right.
So going back to the Stadium series,
Mm-hmm.
there really wasn't a cognitive dissonance. The only thing I didn't like about it was my eyes were not particularly happy with Jonas Hiller and his all-orange pads and jersey. That was quite bright.
Yeah, I didn't end up liking the Ducks jerseys either. I thought I was going to, but I don't.
No, I think the Ducks were the worst of the bunch.
Probably. I mean, honestly, I just haven't liked any of them. There's not one Stadium Series jersey that I approve of, and there are no nuggets that I really take from it either. I didn't like the chrome-ness of it. I didn't like the brightness of the orange. I didn't like using gray when it's a team that has a history of purple. I didn't like the non-Lady Liberty and so on and so forth. Boy.
I think going back to it, I think Lady Liberty would have been the best choice for a jersey, but other than that, there really isn't anything that really sticks out in my mind as being, oh, that's awesome, I would really want to buy that.
Alright, so I saw the pregame and then up into the first TV break. And then I had to turn it off. I couldn't stand watching any more of it. It was 40 minutes of pregame that I saw. Was a wannabe mini Super Bowl ad that was all live action. It was awful. It was terrible. It was embarrassing. They didn't even acknowledge the Ducks. They didn't even acknowledge that there were any other teams in the Pacific time zone other than the Kings. Everything had to do with either the Kings, Dodger Stadium, or Wayne Gretzky. The fact that they only introduced Wayne Gretzky as though no other player in Kings history, let alone Ducks history, made any impact whatsoever is absolutely absurd. I hated everything about the presentation. Literally every bit of it, I hated. And I didn't have any problem with an outdoor hockey game in a warm weather climate. If they can pull it off, that's just flipping cool.
Right.
I didn't have any issues with the volleyball. Or any of that. But the bit of the game that I saw was the feeling out part. By the time they got to the first commercial break, I had just had enough. And I downloaded the game, and so I need to go back and watch the rest of it. But from what I hear, it sounds like everything went well. And look, I don't want the NHL to become football or basketball or any other sport in any particular way. We are our own entity, and we should treat it as such. Yeah. The Ducks-Kings game, because it launched off the Stadium Series, was treated like a extra special event, which makes sense until you have all the pomp and circumstances that they have. KISS has nothing to do with hockey, and you know what? I don't really want to rock all night and party every day that much. I don't want to celebrate Gretzky anymore. I don't want to do it. It's over. There are other equally interesting players who have retired.
Yeah. Going to your KISS has nothing to do with hockey.
Mm-hmm.
I agree and disagree with you. The reason why I agree is because KISS was formed in New York City. Mm-hmm. So it's the exact opposite of LA.
Yep.
So I don't know why they brought in KISS other than the fact that their costumes are black and silver, like the LA jerseys were. It's the only connection that I can make. However, I'm putting this in, and we'll put it up on the blog, is an article a column that BUCCIGROSS wrote. I don't even know when I don't even know when it was written. What?
2004. 2004.
And it's basically saying that hockey is a lot like punk rock. And it's a really good, really short article. And I think it kind of gives validity to one of the many reasons why I like my very hard rock, metalcore, post-hardcore sort of music, which is like a lot of pop punk and a lot of screaming too. Regardless, I think it gives a little validity of saying why I always liked it, and kind of confirms my belief that it's a lot like hockey.
The ending graph from the BUCCIGROSS article you were talking about.
All right.
And this, I think, sums up what I think about hockey and its relation to music. I have a special relationship with the NHL hockey because it is the underdog of big-time sports. And whenever I write or talk about it, the same mantra comes to mind, and it can be applied to music of your choice as well. Don't be ashamed of what moves you. Don't limit yourself, and don't be ashamed. Don't care what anyone else thinks or what the music and sports snobs say. Rock on.
I love it because it's perfect, because not made fun of, but guys just give me shit all the time for what I listen to, because all it is just screaming. And a very select people likes that. But I like it. Don't be ashamed of what you listen to. And I'm never ashamed because I love it. My friends rib on me all the time because I like hockey and nobody cares about hockey, and that I like screamo music and nobody likes screamo music. But you know what? Doesn't matter because it's mine and I own that shit.
Rock on.
This past Sunday night, it was blizzard-like conditions up here in Milwaukee. The winds were about 30 miles an hour, there was snow, and the wind chill was -15. Woo! And me and about 5 of my friends were over at my buddy's place, the same place I watched the Kings-Ducks game, and we decided that we were going to participate in a little Sunday fun day because we thought school was going to get canceled. And we decided to watch Goon for probably my 5th or 6th time. And
because it's hilarious!
Take 69! 69! It's hilarious! The 4 guys had seen it. We had all seen it at one point, and then the 2 girls we were with had never seen it. And so we were all talking and stuff like that, but we would point out little bits in the movie, like, oh, watch this is really cool, like when LaFlemme doesn't step on the Highlanders logo at the very end of the movie. I'm just like, that tears at my heartstrings, because I love that scene so much. And, here's an interesting tidbit that I heard about Goon, is that Xavier LaFlemme is supposed to be based off of Mike Ribeiro.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's what my friend told me.
That makes sense based on what I know.
Exactly. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. So now it's kind of funny just finally putting a name to the putting who the character is based off of. Mm-hmm. And obviously knowing who Doug Glatt is based off of as well. Is he based off of Trent Klatt? Who's Doug Glatt based off of? Doug Glatt, it's at the end of the movie. The film is based on the book Goon, True Story of an Unlikely Journey into Minor League Hockey. Alright, I'm looking up on Wikipedia, so I don't know how. Yeah, okay, so the book is by Adam Frazado and Doug Smith. And Doug Smith is the character that Doug Glatt is based off of. But yeah, Doug Smith, he averaged 6.73 penalty minutes over his 60-game career. And he played for the Carolina Thunderbirds and Johnston Chiefs of the ECHL, the Moncton Hawks of the AHL, the Phoenix Roadrunners of the IHL, the Springfield Falcons of the AHL, and the Louisiana Ice Gators of the ECHL. And he started in 88, 89, and he finished in 97, 98. But he never played more than 3 games in a season after 89, 90.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yeah, so we were watching that, and there's something about watching a hockey movie, and I just love love hockey movies. Goon and Miracle are easily my top 2 favorite movies of all time. But it's for totally different reasons. Miracle because it's just such a great story and it's a true story and it's just really well put together. And then Goon because I have yet to see a hockey movie that captures what it's like to be on a team and what it's like to be in that locker room more so than Goon does. It's such a perfect movie.
Which is the opposite of what I think, because I think that hockey movies are generally over-romanticized. But, you know.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, I have only ever really and truly enjoyed the hockey movie Miracle. And it's for all the obvious reasons. Goon, I liked. Mystery Alaska, I was very young, but I liked it.
Mystery Alaska, I think Mystery Alaska is a little bit more cliched because I watched it for the first time over Christmas break.
Mm-hmm.
Or granted, when the Rangers go up 5-2, I guessed the ending. I didn't say it, but I guessed the ending. I said, in my head, I'm thinking Russell Crowe is going to score the last goal for Mystery Alaska. And so when he scores the 4th goal, I go, okay, they're going to lose. Because just knowing movies in general, you know that when they preface at the very beginning of the movie saying that he hasn't scored a goal in 13 games,
mm-hmm.
that you know he's going to score the last goal, and it's either going to A, tie the game up, B, win it, or C, what ends up happening is losing.
Yeah.
And as soon as he scored the goal, I'm like, okay, they're going to lose the game. I knew it was going to happen. And so, of course, the dude winds up for the slapper at the very end of the game and it clinks off the post. And it's just like, okay. I don't know. I found Mystery Alaska, it's a good movie, but it's over cliche. And like you said, it's over romanticized.
Yeah. But I also have to admit that I have a lot of problems suspending my reality and really getting into movies, especially when it's live action. And that also extends to TV shows, especially when it's live action. So, I may not be the best person to talk about when it comes to these sort of things. However, I think that Goon, at the very least, consistently made me laugh, which I was very disappointed to learn that Slapshot did not. Slapshot did not make me laugh. I wanted to turn it off less than halfway through. And I know that that's blasphemy, and I understand.
Slapshot didn't make me laugh either.
Oh, yay, somebody else. Your wife likes pussy. Yeah, okay. That's a really strange thing to try and distract somebody with. You gotta be really insecure for that to work. Like that's less than lowest common denominator.
Yeah. I think it was funny if you saw it when it came out in the 70s or whenever it came out. But it's one of those cult classics that if you're a hockey fan, you have to love that movie. But I bought the DVD because I was like, oh, there's a Slapshot. I'm going to buy it because I'm probably going to watch it a lot. And I watched it and it was like, meh. I mean, this is the best way to describe the movie. It was meh.
And Goon at least made me laugh a few times, but in any event.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I die. Between the guys that were at the house and the guys who've seen it before, we all call each other Chernobyl-looking motherfuckers.
Seems logical.
When the goaltender, after the second to last game, when everybody starts dropping the gloves, he goes, "Bonsai, motherfucker!" And then he just takes the glove, the blocker, and punches the dude in the other goaltending in the face when he's charging at him. Oh my God, that's my favorite part of the movie. That's so damn funny every time.
Yeah, it really is.
Now, you are 5 years older than me.
This is correct.
So, I don't know how this is going to affect your judgment of these movies, but what is your take on the Mighty Ducks? 1, 2, and 3.
Well, when I was a kid, I loved them. When I was a kid, I also loved Remember the Titans, and when I look back on Remember the Titans, I'm ashamed of it. But I'm not...
Wait, what? Whoa. Wait. You don't like Remember the Titans?
No, that's a horrible movie. I loved it at the time. Yeah, go back and rewatch it.
Oh man, it's such a good movie.
No, but that's okay. You can like what you like and rock on, brother. It's all good.
I'm kind of interested as why you don't like Remember the Titans.
It's easiest just to say that I think it's genuinely a bad movie. I think the plot is absurd. I think that the acting is terrible. And I think that all the motivational cues are stupid. But again, this is an adult looking back on a movie made for kids. And I will reiterate that when I was a kid, I loved it.
Okay, fair enough.
So I haven't rewatched the Mighty Ducks movies as an adult. And I suppose I will at some point. But when I was a kid, I really, really loved them. I really did. At one point, I was thinking about changing my number on my club team to Adam Banks' number.
To 9?
Mm-hmm.
One thing I really like about Mighty Ducks is that Charlie Conway's number is 96. Because hockey fans will get this. It's a really subtle shout out to both Gretzky and Lemieux.
Yes.
And I think it's a really subtle, very cool thing that they put into the movies and show that they kind of did their research, and they also kind of know that numbers are tributes to different things, or there's different reasons why people choose numbers.
Yeah.
I've watched the Mighty Ducks. I was actually watching it a little bit earlier today. I think you kind of have those, kind of like what Tony had, that little, like, the childhood lens is what I'm going to call it, is that you look at the movies, and it's bad acting. Emilio Estevez, he's okay. He's not great in him, but he's not super bad in it either. But it's just painful to watch how in those movies, especially D2, the one where they play the Junior Goodwill games, how bad the hockey is. Because guaranteed 90% of that movie would have been penalties. Like, people are throwing hip check. Some guys got guys racing in on a breakaway, and then in the background you see some hip check and flipping a duck over head over heels, and that would have been an instant interference call, and it probably would have been a 5 in a game. You got some dude with a rope. Who keeps a rope on the bench? I mean, it's definitely for kids, and it's just really bad how bad the hockey is in terms of penalties and how goalies won't react to shots until the puck's already in the back of the net.
How about the concept of a deke? Oh, he does the triple deke, so he stick handles 3 times before he shoots. I don't think he did 1 deke.
Yeah, exactly. And you know it's made for kids, and so you kind of look back at it and you're just like, oh, I remember this was such a great movie, and you watch it, and it's still a great movie because of the childhood memories you have and the childhood emotions attached with the movie. But if I were to watch it for the first time now, I would not like the movie at all.
Well, at the very least, what the Mighty Ducks taught us was that anytime you want to turn off a movie, that's probably the right idea. Which is more than what the fans of the ECHL... what?
I was going to say, however, even as bad as the movies were, they spawned probably one of the greatest jerseys of all time, being the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim original NHL jerseys. The eggplant and green are such good jerseys. I love the fact that I have one of those.
I want the one of the duck bursting through the ice.
The duck, that's such... Oh man, that's it. Yeah, that one is just bad.
Do you remember the cartoon that they created after the movies?
Yes, I love that cartoon. I love that movie. I remember being probably 7 or 8. I was real little. And we used to go to this video store called Video Update. It was like a Blockbuster, but like a Blockbuster knockoff. Kind of like Aldi's is a knockoff of Shop and Save, if you have those up there.
No, but go on.
Okay. But I remember going in there and going over to the kids section, and I remember at least 4 or 5 times me and my brother renting that movie and watching it, because it was so great. I loved that movie.
Oh man. When I was a really little kid, like when we were talking about the start the show, when I would come home, the way my dad would distract me from the pain of taking off my skates because my feet used to really freeze. You turn on the TV and go to the cartoon station, and I would fall asleep as they played back to back the original Super Mario and the original Mega Man and the original Legend of Zelda cartoons back to back to back. Oh, and the original Sonic the Hedgehog.
I didn't even know they had a Legend of Zelda cartoon.
It's terrible. It's absolutely atrocious. But yeah, go look it up.
Any event.
I really remember enjoying the Sonic and the Mega Man in particular. Those were good kid shows. But yeah, and then as I got older, I just kept up that routine. I mean, my feet didn't hurt as much anymore, but I just kept up. I would wind down after hockey before I took my shower and and took a nap to get on with my day. The Mighty Ducks cartoon also fell in line with that time frame, and that was after some movies. And I mean, I was a kid. I liked cartoons, so it was good, and I enjoyed it. But cartoon was better than the third movie, and the cartoon was bad.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
All right. Nothing should be as bad as losing your local hockey team, your favorite hockey team, like the fans of the San Francisco Bulls, the affiliate of the Sharks, and members of the East Coast Hockey League, even though they're in San Francisco, the ECHL.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
I don't get it either, but I've heard of stranger things, like American teams playing in the Canadian Football League. In any event,
does that actually happen?
Yes, I've spoken at length with Scotty Waz about it, and the Baltimore team actually won one of their championships. I believe it's called the Grey Cup. It was back in the 90s. In any event, yeah, nothing could be as bad as mid-season your local team folding, like the San Francisco Bulls have had to do. And Jacob, I would like to delve into the recesses of your minds where you repress all of your forsaken thoughts and feelings and emotions. What might happen to Jacob Bourne if the St. Louis Blues cease to exist at all, let alone mid-season?
I think I would hate the new organization if they relocated. And I think I would hate the new relocated team more so than I loved the Blues. And at the same time, I don't know how upset I would actually be because I want to cover the NHL, so I'd still be around hockey. So I think I'd still like hockey as a whole, but I would probably cry, and I would hate the relocated team more so than I think I love the Blues. I think that's what I would do. I think that's what would happen if the Blues relocated. Now, there's actually an interesting story. The Blues almost became the Saskatoon Blues.
Say what?
Yeah, it was back in the late 80s. St. Louis has always had a bad time with ownership, and like the team was doing really bad, and so they were about ready to sell to these potential buyers that would move the team to Saskatchewan, and they almost became the Saskatoon Blues. The Blues either did well down the stretch, or the city stepped in, or something like that. It was 1983 is when the Blues almost moved.
I guess what I'm trying to get at though is because I know how I would respond.
How would you respond?
If the Rangers cease to exist, okay? Yeah. I would sooner relapse and fall back into therapy for my sense of abandonment and my issues with trust than I would become an Islanders fan.
Oh, there's no way in hell I would ever become a fan of another team. There's no way.
Just as you, I would probably hate the new team that the Rangers became, or whomever was supposed to replace them, more than I ever loved the Rangers.
Well, here's an interesting thing. Let's say it was like, okay, so let's say I lived in Atlanta, and I was around when Atlanta moved to Calgary. And became the Calgary Flames. I would hate the Calgary Flames more so than I would have loved the Atlanta Flames. However, I would become an Atlanta Thrasher fan if the city got a new team. I would support them team, but I don't think I'd have the same level of fandom that I did originally with the Calgary Flames, with the Atlanta Flames.
No, I mean, you also got to remember that how absurd it would be if that happened to the Rangers. Just how many things have to go wrong in order for that to happen.
Right.
So the level of despair would just mount and mount and mount on itself. And yeah, I'd have to go back to therapy. I wouldn't be able to handle it at first. It just sounds like I kind of need to go back to therapy just thinking about it.
I think that would be the most real sense of somebody ripping out my heart and stomping on it right in front of my face.
Oh my God, that's just, so I feel really bad for all the San Francisco loyalists, the San Francisco Bulls loyalists.
Oh, I do too. I mean, I know I said I don't know how many people actually care, but for those who do care, oh man, I can't imagine that. I cannot imagine having that done to me.
Oh my God. And I always feel really bad when I hear, from people who are Nordiques or original Jets or Thrashers fans or any other team or city that lost its team.
Yeah.
I really feel bad for them, but you make a really important point. That is generally true for when a team moves or ceases to exist, is that the people who cared should have done a better job showing their support. Now, I say that overall because sometimes there aren't enough people.
How can those who do show up be held accountable for what happened? It's the people who didn't show up that should be held accountable.
Oh, that's a much smarter way of putting it. I'm just going to piggyback on your words. That's a much better way of putting it. Sorry folks, technical difficulties. But I thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope that you enjoyed this episode. It was a lot of fun to make. Remember, you can reach us at borntopuck@gmail.com, hashtag us at borntopuck. You can reach me on Twitter at Matt Riegler and Jacob at Jacob_born. And remember to chirp what you love.